Let's begin with the ICSE settings here. So none of the other settings are available for ICSE grading pattern, and beginning with the ICSE exam category, you're going to create the exam category that is there in your institution. Let's say there are two exam categories, like the default one under ICSE, which is term 1 and term 2. You're going to go for new and create with the title term 1 and term 2. And once the ICSE exam categories are created, I'm going to go for ICSE weightages, and under the ICSE weightages I'm going to create a new one where each of these weightages name have a primary normal subject, let's say called as primary normal subject, and the ICSE exam category would be the one in the drop down, which is what we created as term 1 and term 2. You're going to choose one from the drop down. So each of these term is going to have a primary normal subject and a primary co-curricular subject. These depends on the institution. The Fedena allows you to create a weightage category. Along with it, you're going to assign the weightages for the weightage category. Let's say EA weightage and IA weightage. So you're going to give the weightage now amount, and you're going to select one of the exam categories. So as you can see, I'm going to select one of the exam category. I'm giving EA weightages and IA weightages. This is a normal subject, so the EA weightages are I and IA weightages are less. I'm going to say which kind of mark types do I want in the report, which can be grades and marks, grades or marks. And I'm going to state it if it is a co-curricular subject. So since it's not a co-curricular subject, I'm selecting no and I'm saving it. The same thing I'm going to create for term 1 and term 2, and once again the same thing I'm going to create for term 1 and term 2, which is the primary co-curricular subject. So these primary co-curricular subjects generally have a weightage for IA to be high, which is 100% weightage, and there's no EA weightages for such weightage categories. So once these are created, let's move back to assign weightages. So for each grades or each classes and the batches, you need to assign these weightages. As of now, you've created, but it would differ with each of the classes. So now I'm selecting a particular grade and selecting the subject. I'm going to select what all category does this fall. Since it's a subject which is a normal subject, I'm selecting primary normal subject for term 1 and term 2. If it was a co-curricular subject, you want to select the subject in the drop down and enable this. So based on this, the weightage that was already assigned for these would be available for this subject as well. So now once the weightages are assigned, let's move back to the settings. Now moving back to the settings, we have the internal assessment settings. So for an internal assessment settings, which is what we call as the co-curricular subject having internal assessment high. Even the normal subjects have a 20% weightage, but co-curricular subjects have a high weightage of 100% in most cases. So these internal assessments have calculation and can be called as a common denominator mode or total marks mode. You can have a look at any of these by checking the examples. So these are the calculations, how it happens with the IA scores. So once the IA scores are set, like how it is there in your institution, you're going to choose one and you're going to go for IA groups. So you will have to create internal assessment groups for each of your subjects. Either you can create a new one, or with the existing one, let's have a look. This is what I've already created as a sample. So this way you can also create IA exam categories for your classes and assign these for each of these classes. For example, I have created with a name IA term 1 English. So the subject term 1, so the subject English under term 1 might have IA exam group. So I am going to create these, and under these I might have few internal assessment groups, like let's say essay, poem, and few more. I can have 3 or 4 where I'm going to give a name and provide an indicator and a maximum mark. Again, I'm providing a name, indicator, and a maximum mark, and I'm giving the indicators to be used in a formula. Where I've used a formula, and I'm going to save this. Once these IA groups are created, you're going to assign these groups. So in a case where you can already create some IA groups and assign them later, so you can go for assign IA group, select a class, select a subject and assign IA groups. Let's say I'm assigning these IA groups since it's English. So whatever that gets available for an IA group will be available for the subject as well. So once the setting is completed, this is all about these settings. Let's go back to the examination module and schedule an exam by creating an exam group. So you'll have to select a class. Let me choose a class now and provide a name. Let's say term 1. Select one of the exam category, create an exam group. I need to select the batch. Let's say I'm creating the exam group. Now I can go for manage exam and schedule the examination. Now to schedule an examination, it's going to be the same pattern like any normal examination, and you're going to schedule it by selecting a start date and an end date. So once you provide a start date and end date, you can create an exam, publish the exam schedule, and now you can enter the scores. Go back to the subjects. So you can see the students present. You can enter the scores. Let's say I'm entering a score. So these are normal subjects. You're entering the score for a normal subject. And once you enter the score, you can see the grades getting added here. So for each subject, let's say for English, we had assigned 2 IA examinations. And for these 2 IA examinations, there are going to be some examination that is conducted, and you're going to enter scores for it. So you can see the English IA scores here, and you're going to enter scores inside these options. So here, as you can see, each of the student name will be listed here, and you can see different indicators. Once I enter the score would be taken down for the calculation as per the formula that is mentioned in the settings. So for each of these students, you're going to do this. And once the score is entered for each of the subjects, let's do the same for the subject maths. And once you've saved it, you can go for IA scores for maths as well. Now for each student, I have the IA score for math, and save. The same thing I'm doing for the other student. And once this is done, you're going to save all the scores and you're going to publish the exam results. And now let's assume the exam results are published. So you have to get back to your examination module. You need to go to report center. You need to go to ICSE reports and generate a report. You need to generate a report like how you did for the normal examination. I'm going to select the active batch, which is this, and generate a report. Now it's a schedule job as usual. Now you have to refresh it so that this schedule job moves out of queue. Now going back to ICSE reports, the first kind of report that we have is student-wise report. On selecting a particular batch, you can have a look at the report. Now this is one of the student. On selecting the name of the student, you can see the IA score, you can see the EA, and for each of these subjects I had given, let's say IA had a 80% weightage, EA had a 20% weightage, and the final score is calculated based on these weightages. The same thing happens with maths. Each of them have weightage and the final one is calculated. The total score is mentioned here along with the percentage, where we can see the attendance report as well along with the grading levels that is mentioned, similar to what we have entered here. So this is how a report would look like. Now you can view the same for the other student as well. Now moving back to ICSE reports, the other kinds of report that we have is subject wise. Again, we can choose a particular subject, and based on the subject you can view how the scores would look like. Let's say I'm choosing a subject English and I'm viewing it. Now this report can be customized in a way where you can check all the exam groups. You can check only internal marks, external marks, or all of these in general. Now in case if you're choosing a category also, you can filter them accordingly. The next kind of report that you have is a consolidated report. The same happens with the consolidated report. It's just that you can select a batch and you can filter on the basis of exam group, on the basis of report type, and the category or a gender. Now this is how the report would look like. You can see the student total score in maths and English, and you can see the name along with the grade that is secured. You can take a CSV report from here. The grades are based on the grade that is assigned while creating the settings. So this is all about ICSE examination pattern.